7th and 8th grade, it's Mrs. Partipillo. I have another great music lesson plan for you today. You're going to need to get out that packet that I gave you that was in your envelope. There's 2 sheets there that we need to get out to make sure we're ready for our lesson. The first one says on the front, perfect and major intervals. It looks like this. And then on the back, we've got minor intervals. That's what we're starting our lesson today with in music, so go ahead and get that prepared. You also will need this later in our lesson. This packet, it says instrument research, and it's got a lot of my writing on it. We're going to go through that project later in the lesson today. You also will need your copy of this Joyful Eastertide, which is our hymn of the month. We are going to practice singing that in just a little bit as well. To get started today, you are going to be doing some music theory. And I know some of you had a little bit of difficulties with the last week's music theory, and you're certainly welcome to call me and ask for help if you need it. And I can redo that lesson if you find that it's something that just wasn't clear enough to you, but I need you to let me know if that's still a struggle for you. Some of you have called and asked for help, and that's great. You were asked to do some transposing that was taking music notes at one level, and you were asked to move them either up a major second or down a major second, depending on what the question was. And it was a little difficult to explain, and maybe it was a little difficult to understand as well. So please ask for help if you need it, okay? Let's get started with our intervals today. So the front side, perfect and major intervals, is lesson 35. That's what we're starting with. I have a lot of information on the board I'm going to be going through, and we will be doing some of the examples together. That's on the back of this sheet, but the front of it I think you'll be capable of doing by yourself once we've gotten through it. To start today, I want you to put your minds into the key of C major. Okay, we've done lots of practice with key signatures. I'm picking the easiest one to go through right now. C major has no sharps and no flats. And the C major scale, we start with C. C is the key note, or the first note of the C major scale. And going right up through the music alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And there's no sharps, no flats, so that will make it easy when we're doing this work today. Intervals, let's get started. Here we go. What is on the page is what I'm covering. I have put it up on the board to explain as well, but please follow along on your worksheet so that you know what to do when it's time to do some of this on your own. Intervals, that's the note from one, or the distance from one note to another note. That's an interval, the difference between the two. Intervals between the first note of a major scale and the unison. Unison is the same note, so you'd have the same note twice. The fourth, fifth, and octave are called perfect intervals. So looking here, I'm in the key of C, remember. It's no sharps, no flats. So the first note, the key note, first note of the scale, C. If I was to play the same note again, C, C, just like on the piano, that's what we call unison, okay? So perfect unison. That's that interval, the same note twice. Okay, a perfect fourth, just like it shows here, a perfect fourth is from C up to F. The way I can figure that out really quick is I can start my finger at C and count up, starting with 1 as the first note of the interval. So C would be 1. C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4. Perfect fourth. Okay. Perfect fifth. C1, D2, E3, F4, and G5. Perfect fifth. Okay, perfect eighth. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C to D. That's a perfect eighth. Going from do, do. Okay. So we've done unison, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, perfect eighth. Now, you will need to do some of that work with these exercises at the bottom. You might have some unison, which you would write as P1, perfect 1, or you could even write unison as well. That's what they've written as an example here, perfect 1, unison. You also might find some of those perfect fourths or perfect fifths or even perfect eighth octaves like we just said. Now we're going to work on intervals that are called major intervals. Okay, so we've done the perfects. Now we're moving on to the next part of the worksheet, which is right here, this part right here. Okay, we've done the top, we're going on to the second. Intervals between the first note, which we're still working as C, the first note of the scale, of a major scale, which is the key note, and the second, third, sixth, or seventh of that scale are called major intervals. So starting on C, because we're in the key of C, no sharps, no flats still, C to D, 1, 2, major second. C to E, 1, 2, 3, major third. C to A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major sixth. Major seventh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's that major seventh. Okay. So we've done all of the perfect intervals and the major intervals. That's what's on this first page. Where you get down to the exercises, the first one says, name the harmonic intervals and indicate whether they are perfect or major. So right here, their example was a major third. Okay, so going from G, G being the lower note, G being the key note. If you're thinking, okay, G, when I'm in the key of G major, I go up to B, 1, 2, 3, major third. Okay. Second example here, you're starting on an F. If I'm in the key of F, I have B flat, C, D, or C, not C, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. That's up a major sixth. Okay, two C's together, what is that? That's a unison, right? So you could write perfect 1 or unison, both, okay? And then down below, the second example here, or exercise you're supposed to do, write the note above the given note to complete the harmonic interval. So here's a C. I need to go up a perfect fifth. C to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C to G makes that perfect fifth, okay? All right, I think you should be able to do those examples on your own. We will get started with these ones on the back together though, because they're a little harder. Okay, we're moving on to the back then. We're ready to go. When the interval between the two notes of a major interval, such as second, third, sixth, or seventh, so these intervals here that we just work on, second, third, sixth, seventh, those majors, if one of these intervals is decreased by a half step, they become minor intervals. Okay, so let me grab my little piano here. So if I was playing the piano and this major second interval, I would play C to D. That's a major second. It's a whole step, so there's a half and another half. If I decided to not do the major second and just go from C up a half step instead of a whole step, it would become a minor second. So C to D is a major second. C to D flat is a minor second. So that's what they've shown you here. C to D is a major second, but C to D flat is a minor second. The letters for major and minor are something you need to take note of also. A major interval is capitalized. A minor interval is lowercase. Just like we've talked about with a major key signature, you use a triangle to show that. Well, a minor key signature, you would use lowercase, just like with these intervals, okay? So let's practice another one. So we just showed C to D being lower by a half step, a minor second, okay? So C to D flat instead of C to D. Let's work on this major third lowered by half step to a minor third, okay? That's what we're looking at next. So the next example, that minor to and major third, if I was in the bass clef, that's what they have here. This bass clef right here, this second one, major third is C to the E. That's a major third, okay? That's the example right here. Now, C to E is a major third. If I took the E and instead of played E, I played E flat, it would become a minor third, like this. C, D, E. C to E is a major third. But if I did not go to the E and went just to the E flat, it's lower, isn't it, on the piano? It's a half step lower. So C to E flat becomes a minor third. Okay? They've shown some other examples here. This second example says, oh, look, the first note's an F. So now you're in the key of F. In the key of F, you have a B flat, don't you? F up to A is a major third. But if you played F to A flat, it's lower, so it's a minor third. Here's the piano example. F to A is a major third. F to A flat is lower by a half step, so it becomes a minor third. Okay, let's look at the next example. Major sixth. So back up here onto the board here, a major sixth would be from C to A if I was in the key of C. Now lower this by a half step and it becomes C to A flat, doesn't it? It's a half step lower. Just like on the piano, here's C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the sixth, major sixth. C to A, major sixth. And then a lower half step. C to A flat becomes that minor sixth. Okay, let's look at the second example they have there. So the second example they have for major sixth, you're in the key of B, not B flat, key of F. You have one flat, which is B flat. F to D, that's the major sixth. Now if you took the D and you lowered it by half a step, you have F to D flat. It's a half step lower, so that's that major sixth and minor sixth. Here's F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, major sixth, and then down a half step. That's the minor sixth because you went down a half step. Okay, the last example we have here, we're working on major sevenths, lowering it to become a minor seventh. Okay, so in our page here, on the page, we have a C in the bass clef to B. C, B. Yeah, that's quite the interesting interval. C right here to B. C, B. Yeah, major seventh. Lower it by half a step. So down to the B flat. C, to B flat becomes that minor 7th. They've also showed you, let's look at this last example. This last example says you're in the key of G because you have an F sharp. So G to F sharp is that major 7th. But if you don't do the sharp and you lower it, so it's a regular F, we have G to F, which becomes that minor 7th. Here's what it looks like on the piano. G all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the sharp. G, F sharp. But if you took it down a half step to make it a minor 7th, F. G, F. That's the minor 7th. Okay, for the examples, the exercises, we're going to do those on the board now. Number 1, we'll do a few together. Same with number 2 and number 3. Okay, here's number 1. You are asked, let me get my marker here. Name the intervals. Okay, so first we have C to A flat. Well, let's figure out the number first. So we've got C, which is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're doing all minor intervals, okay, on this page. So we have a minor 6 because normally in the key of C, a major 6 would be a regular A, wouldn't it? But it's lowered, so it's minor 6. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Well, F is the key we're going to be in because that's the first note. It's the key note here. So F to G flat. Well, F to G would be a major 2nd, but since it's flatted, it's a minor 2nd. So that's all you need to do is write minor 2nd. Okay, G is our key note, so we're in the key of G. G, A, B flat. Normally in the key of G, we would have a regular B, wouldn't we? Well, B flat tells me it's a lowered half step. So 1, 2, 3, minor 3rd. Okay, and we'll do one more together and then the rest are on your own. First note is G, so that's our key note. In the key of G, we have 1 sharp, F sharp, G, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And since it's not an F sharp, it's lowered. It's a regular F. It's minor 7th. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Now let's go on to exercise number 2. Write the note above the given note to complete the harmonic interval. So minor 3rd. The first note they've given you is F, below the staff. So a minor 3rd, well, let's go up a 3rd first. In the key of F, which is the first note here, F is 1, 2, 3. That would be a major 3rd, wouldn't it? Well, it's minor 3rd, so we need to lower it. Well, let's flat it. Okay, major 6th. The first note they've given you is C. C is the key we're in, or minor 6th, I'm sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would be an A. And since it's minor, I need to lower it a half step. So it's A flat. Okay, minor 2nd. Our first note is G. We're in the key of G. In the key of G, we have 1 F sharp. G, major 2nd would be A. But since it's minor 2nd, we're going to lower that. So it's A flat. And then one more, minor 7. Minor 7th. And they start on a C. So we need to go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be B for the major seventh, but it's lowered because it's minor. So flat that B. Okay, you can do the rest of those. Let's go on to number 3. Name the intervals indicating whether they are perfect, major, or minor. So these ones could be any of the ones we did on the previous page or this page, excuse me, we're on currently. So F to C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect fifth. Okay, the second one, F to E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And since it's not lowered, it's a regular major seventh. Next one, F to D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's not flatted, so it's a major sixth. The next one, we're starting on G. In the key of G, we have F sharp, don't we? 1, 2, 3, while a regular B would be a major third from the G. You need to finish that page on your own. So we've done some of the exercises together. Some of them you'll have to take on yourself. You can do it. If you're having a difficulty with this, please call me. I'm happy to help you. Or I'll even make another video going through just that section again. I want to help you learn this stuff because it's new, but you're fully capable of doing it. I wouldn't give you something you couldn't do. All right? Okay, we're done with that page. Go ahead and open up open up. I was telling you to open up your hymnal. You don't have one, do you? Some of you might, hopefully. Here's this joyful Eastertide. Let's sing it today. We're going to work on stanza 1 and 2 today, and next week we'll do 3. So here we go. Verse 1, please sing along. I know some of you are quite the singers, right? Here we go. This joyful Eastertide, away with sin and sorrow. My love, the crucified, has sprung to life this morrow. Had Christ, who once was slain, not burst his 3-day prison, our faith had been in vain. But now has Christ arisen, arisen, arisen. But now has Christ arisen. Going on to verse 2. What key are we in 7th and 8th grade? 3 flats. Remember, with flats, you look at the second to last one. E flat. That's right. 3 flats. E flat. Death's blood has lost its chill since Jesus crossed the river. Lover of souls from ill, my passing soul deliver. Had Christ, who once was slain, not burst his 3-day prison, our faith had been in vain. But now has Christ arisen, arisen, arisen. But now has Christ arisen. Beautiful. Thank you for singing along today. We have one more thing to go through. And this is a new project you're going to have 2 weeks to do, 7th and 8th grade. The project looks like this. Instrument research, and next to it I wrote in 7th and 8th grade project. And I also put here, it's due May 1st. That's the due date. So you should have 2 full weeks to do this project. Now, what you're going to need for this project? A pencil, your paper, and you will need a resource to find websites because that's where you're going to find the information to do this project. Before we begin, I will tell you I have written down an example, and I'll share that example with you today. That way you have a better idea of what to do. But let's just read the directions first, and then I'll share my example to you. First, before you begin, you need to decide, what instrument do I want to do my project on? Up here in the top of the box is a bunch of instruments I wrote down. You need to pick one of those instruments. If you have played the trumpet, or you play the clarinet, or you play the trombone, and you're interested to know more about the instrument you already play, great, do that. If one of these instruments is kind of interesting to you and you wish you played it, or you'd like to know more about it, research that. That's perfectly fine too. You decide. I hope that you pick something that sparks your curiosity. All right. I did my project on the English horn because I wasn't quite as familiar with that instrument, and I thought, what better way to learn about it than to research it, right? So here's the directions. Using school technology, well, you're going to have to use your technology at home. You will complete research on your assigned instrument. Please answer all of the following questions in paragraph form. Did you hear that, 7th and 8th grade? Paragraph form. 1 paragraph per question. Find your answers through internet research, but avoid plagiarism. I'm sure you've heard the word plagiarism. We cannot take a material or a resource and strictly write exactly what we find. We have to reword it and create it to be our own. You can take that information, but you need to rewrite it in a way that is your way of writing it. So it takes some thought and some effort sometimes to do that. You also need to include, here's the next part there, include a list of websites you accessed at the end of your report. And I added in, on the last page, draw your research instrument or paste a picture you found. Like if you found a picture online and you copied it and printed it out, you can put that on the back, or you can draw your own picture. Okay, number 1, there's the box to put your information or your paragraph for number 1. Describe the origin and development of your instrument. Number 2, describe how the instrument works and what it sounds like. Now flip to the back. Number 3, right here. Name the performing ensembles and styles of music that your instrument is likely to be used for. Number 4, report about the most famous or one of the most famous performers on this instrument. Number 5, find a solo piece written for your instrument and listen to it. Share your opinion on the piece as well as the instrument, or as the instrument as a whole. Use details and musical vocabulary to back up your opinion. Don't forget to include a link in your references. And there's a little tip there. In YouTube, search your instrument and the word solo, or your instrument and then the word concerto. Remember, concerto is a piece of work for a single instrument, to find solo pieces for your instrument. So right here is where you're going to put that information when you have done your research and watched the video. And then right here is where you're going to list the references or the websites you used. And then here's the back where it says draw your instrument or paste a copy of a picture. Okay, here's my example. I wrote it in orange, so it's I thought that would be helpful to see, but then I realized it's not helpful because it's copied on the front and back. Well, I will go ahead and read my examples for each. That way you get an idea of what kind of words you could use when you're doing this project. Okay, so number 1, as I mentioned before, I did the English horn. Describe the origin and development of your instrument. And I found, the English horn was first named in Vienna in 1760. It is very similar to another instrument, the oboe. The English horn was developed to sound lower than the oboe and has a few different names, such as cor anglais in French and English horn in German. Number 2, describe how the instrument works and what it sounds like. The English horn is a woodwind instrument that uses a double reed. It has a deeper tone than the oboe, which is created by a longer body and bigger bell at its end. It has a nasal tone that is easily heard in an orchestra or band setting. Okay, turning to the back with number 3. Name the performing ensembles and styles of music that your instrument is likely to be used for. The English horn is often used in chamber music, orchestra, and symphonic band. Oboe players often know how to play or how to also play the English horn. It has been used in many scores for movies and is also rarely used in jazz groups. Number 4, Thomas Stacy is a famous English horn player in the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. Stacy grew up in a small town in Arkansas and grew up listening to the New York Philharmonic himself. He learned how to play the English horn in high school. This led him to attend the Eastman School of Music, which led to great success. And then number 5, so this is on the back, I listened to a piece just for the English horn called Soliloquy for English Horn. Soliloquy for English horn is an interesting solo. The piece uses a lot of leaps with vibrant rhythms. It demonstrates the entire range of the instrument. And then here, I listed the 4 different websites. So you might see I used Britannica, which is an online encyclopedia. The second website is a specific website for woodwinds and brass instruments. And then the third one was a website specifically about that person, Thomas Stacy, who plays the English horn. And then the fourth website I used was a YouTube video to watch the video of him playing this piece. On the back, I just drew a small instrument on this, a picture of an English horn on the side with a pin. Okay, so there's an example for you. I actually quite enjoyed it. It did take me a good half an hour to do this project. Now, I already told you, you have 2 weeks to do this project. The intervals assignment is due on April 24th. This instrument research project is not due until May 1st. But I know you have lots of homework with Mr. C's class. You have band to practice for too. So don't delay. Get a good start on this, and then you can do a little bit of work each day. Or maybe you can do it all at once, but don't put it off. It's due May 1st, okay? All right, 7th and 8th grade, that's all I have for music today. As I mentioned earlier, please call me or email me if you have questions. Some of you have been emailing your work to me. Great job. Keep it up. And I can't wait to see this project and see how you did with the theory. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.